Let me kick it off this way. First of all, welcome everybody to our lovely event. We're very happy and excited that you were able to join us. We've been doing a couple, I would say, conferences, so we sort of have a routine in how we do this. Forgive any nerves, because again, this is our debut. This is the first time that we're doing stuff like this. But as a good friend just said, we are among family, so we're going to do our best to make sure we stay calm and relaxed. But what Stephanie did not say is that the doors are locked until all books are sold. So thankfully, all books are sold. So feel free. We're going to allow you guys out of here at the end of the evening. But just real quick, let's give our spiel, and we look forward to talk with you guys, okay? So thank you for that. My name is Ali Kamanda.
My name is Jorge Redmond.
And we are the co-authors of
Black Boy, Black Boy. First of all, thank all of y'all for really being here. The support, especially dealing with the book, a book of color, is extremely important for us. And it's important for our community and as a society as a whole. So thank y'all for being here. A little bit about the book. So this is our COVID baby, right? And so essentially, luckily we were fortunate enough to be able to use that time wisely and draw some inspiration and unfortunately from a dark place, which was the murder of George Floyd, right? And so this book kind of came out from that. Initially when that went viral, the whole thought was, at least when I was talking to Ali, is what is it that Black boys are seeing for inspiration, right? And so what we saw, what we wanted them to see were perhaps different. And we were trying to figure out a way to try to get that. So initially, the thought was I was like, well, we've got boys, same age. And the thought was I went back to when I used to read to my kids when they were little. It was brown bear, what do you see? Right? And so the thought was we can do black boy, what do you see? And I was like, all right, this sounds good. And then all of a sudden it went dark.
Dark.
It went like Jason Reynolds' stamp dark. It was like, I see police brutality, I see racial inequality, I see institutional poverty. Like everything was just, I had a lot of words that rhyme with C. That wasn't too educational, wasn't too hopeful. And so luckily Ali was like, what are we doing here? Like, what are you trying to do? It's like, you're writing like a horror. Like, and so luckily he was able to spin it around. And the initial thought was before law school, I used to teach. And when I used to teach, I used to ask kids, what is it that you wanted to be in life? And the majority of their answers was, I want to be a baller and I want to be a rapper, right? Which infuriated me. Because I was like, whatever happened to doctor, whatever happened to pilot, whatever happened to train conductor, engineer, whatever happened to everything else? And it's essentially, I don't want them to rely on what's given to them with their physical talents and not work on their mind. They'll always tell my kids, the biggest muscle you have is in your brain, right? And so what happens in plan B when you get injured? If you're an athlete, or you don't get that break as an artist. And so the thought was that we wanted to hopefully inspire boys to be able to, if they knew their past, it'd help shape their future. And so that was the thought of this book, is to try to glean some hope and introduce some historical figures that aren't normally the ones that we hear in February. And so I'll go ahead and tend to Ali. Thank you.
Yeah, man. All right, he's gonna pass the baton over. My take on all this is, I come from that point of referencing the importance of representation, okay? See, we truly believe that representation is extremely important, particularly in literature that's for kids. You know, there is something very inspirational, there's something very powerful, there's something very aspirational for a kid to see their likeness in the book, all right? When this guy and I were growing up, our reality was that and you've probably heard this a lot, but we did not get a lot of literature that spoke to our existence, that really celebrated our lives. And so we found ourselves in the awesome opportunity of a blessing in being fathers to two amazing kids, all right? And so we took it upon ourselves to be intentional about creating something that was inspirational and hopeful, that we thought would be able to inspire in them a sense of identity, okay? We wanted to give them a sense of identity, of course, rooted in Black history, that they would grow up with, you know, in confidence, knowing that their lives matter. Because in truth, as George was stating, this was an inspiration out of a dark time. And a lot of us can remember that moment of when Mr. Floyd's life was taken from him. It was, and also COVID was going on. So it was a time, I think, for us as a collective. We were dealing with, as he said, our favorite author right now is Jason Reynolds, in dealing with like an attack on your respiratory system. Everybody really felt like, oh, we really couldn't breathe. Particularly for us, it wasn't a slogan, it was real. We were having this conversation about, hey, let's write this book, talking about what had just happened in the confines and safety of our own four walls in our own houses, but feeling like we couldn't breathe. And so for us, it was like, well, how do we find this oxygen? Where are we gonna get, you know, our air? And he and I, our oxygen is our family, you know? We live and die for them. Everything that we do on this planet, as we have come to understand, is for our family. And so we were now looking at the world through the eyes of our two boys. And we wanted to make sure that we were gonna arm them with something so that when they walked out into the world, they were gonna feel confident enough to make sure they never felt less than anyone, no matter what spaces that they found themselves in. So we fast forward to creating this thing, okay? And then all of a sudden it dawned on us that we also now had another unique opportunity, which was taking a book like this, which is emblazoned on the cover, Black Boy, and being able to project that this was not just for Black boys, but this was for all boys. Because for us, it's very important in trying to say you wanna maybe bring society together, is to figure out what ways that you could do that. You know, literature has a very strong play in that one, especially if you start with youth, all right? But it's the opportunity for us to write something to Black boys, and as George says, for all boys, by making it be a mirror, okay, for Black kids, but also a window or a door for you educators out there, for all kids. Because we want them to be able to see themselves in the lives of someone who looks different than them. Because at that moment, when you do that, you create empathy. You're also, bless you. You're also now putting yourself in someone else's shoes. And, you know, as the tenets of just what the Bible teaches us, if you really do care about your fellow man, then honestly, you're not going to see them as a threat. So growing up in Sierra Leone, West Africa, all the literature that I basically read, well, primarily was like from Shakespeare. I mean, everything that I read was from white authors, and it allowed me to see someone of a different color, and I was able to identify and, at least I would say, embrace their humanity. So now that I've created something with my brother that at least speaks to the existence of our two boys, it's our opportunity now to take this thing out there and share it with folks, and also be able to tell you it's also your job to make sure that you can teach others that they can see themselves in someone else that doesn't look like them and be able to empathize. And if you do that, in truth, I mean, it sounds cliche, but we make the world a better place, and everybody has a part to play, right? Talk on, because we call it what, the Fab Five, right? Because when Black History Month comes around, if we were to do a poll in this room right now and everybody was to get a pencil and paper and we said, all right, just give me 5 names of folks in Black history, I am willing to bet, and I don't know what I could bet to put it up, but you know, but I'm willing to bet that we would, almost all of us, land on the same 5 names. At least one name in particular, all right? So please, can you speak on that? Because this was another, I would say, exciting opportunity for us in being intentional about who we selected to put in this. And this young man here actually had some fun, I think, with his family, because they did a lot of the research in coming up with some of these names. And to me, it's a learning experience. So hopefully, if you don't mind, if you could talk about that.
Thank you for stop talking, Ali. I mean,
right, inside joke, let me cut him off again. I owe this man time in this thing, so I'm gonna turn my mic off. Because I literally don't want to talk. He's like, come on, man, just shut up. My turn. So, sorry, sir. Go ahead.
Thank you, Alan.
You're
Thank you. So what we want to do is change the narrative, right? Especially as a district attorney, I see pipeline in prison. I see Black kids making mistakes, and their mistakes lead them into an ability to not be able to rebound. And so there was a thought of perhaps if there was other historical figures, and we got it from, I don't know if any of y'all seen the movie Hidden Figures, right? But Hidden Figures basically blew up. I mean, it's one of my favorite movies, but it allowed me to understand the importance of Black historical women and what they meant to not only our country, but to the space program. And I was like, well, what about the Black men? What are we learning about? And it made me start thinking about, in February, the same ones we heard, Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, and they all have done wonderful things. But what about everyone else? How are we going to change the narrative? How are we going to stop kids from continuing to say baller, rapper in this two-track system? Is that perhaps if they learn about historical figures that have played an important role, then at that point they can perhaps be inspired. So we wind up choosing individuals that perhaps aren't well known, because if you pick up a book and you don't know something, you're learning. That's the whole goal of reading, right? And to have that inspiration of, oh, who is this person? What have they done? And so what we wanted to do is make sure that we included some that like Martin Luther King, that had this sort of same response that we had every February, but we also wanted to choose some people like Chinua Achebe, also Arthur Mitchell. We've got a first Black Navy SEAL, Sam Cooke. The change is going to come. And so we wanted to hopefully use these individuals. And ironically, the first individual we chose was Colin Kaepernick. And we've heard a whole lot about that first person that we chose to do. And believe me, there was a lot of people that we left off of this book that we wanted to use. But in reality, we chose Colin Kaepernick because he gave up a dream that many of the kids who say, I want to be a baller and rapper, right? He actually gave up those millions. Could have easily stood up and made millions of dollars, but he stood tall, stood up for what he believed in, and ultimately felt like that was the right course for him. So he sacrificed not only his career, but he sacrificed his name as well. He was essentially blacklisted. But so we wanted to start with the kids because of course it's relevant, they know who he is. But what we want to teach them is hopefully when we get to schools and be able to talk about the book, is that you can be more than just a football player. You can be more than just a baller or a rapper or anything like that. You can be multidimensional. You don't have to just stay in your lane, right? You can do more. You can be multidimensional. And so that was the thought of choosing the characters in this book. Each character that we had, we felt like exhibited a character trait. Now, for example, Colin Kaepernick was sacrifice. Martin Luther King was persistence. We have Elijah McCoy, his inventions. And so we have, of course, William Goines, his being brave. And so what we wanted to do is make sure that we broke the mold of what people think of Black boys. Right now, there's a lot of people that are intimidated, either by what they're wearing, what they're saying or not saying, how they're saying it. And what we want to do is break that mold so that they can understand and be comfortable with whoever they may be. And so that's kind of what led us to picking the individuals that we have in our book, Black Boy, Black Boy.
Awesome. Now, we would share a message to the young ones in the audience, especially for our two boys over there. Hope you're paying attention. Definitely don't fall asleep. There's going to be a quiz at the end of this. But one of the important things for us in recognizing, when you say greatness, or you talk about great men or great women in history, or just in life in general, is to acknowledge that every single person, every one of us in here, has the capacity to do great things, meaning every single one of you can be great, you know? But it doesn't come without, as George was saying, sacrifice or dedication. What it actually entails is making certain choices, because everyone in this book that we actually selected made a certain choice in life, okay? And we all have that very same capacity to do so. Sometimes we don't choose it. Now, for you guys, as you were growing up, is that unfortunately, we as the adults, because now we are among that group, are leaving you guys a world that is definitely not the greatest. I don't mean to scare you, but let's just keep it real, okay? However, we also believe, as our parents did in us, that you guys are going to change the world, same way that they thought that we would. Thing for us is that we sort of ran out of some steam. But what we've seen with your generation is that you're a lot more tolerant than I would say some of us. So I just want to make sure that you take from this small gathering that when someone says they believe in you, or when someone actually is there to support you, you don't take that for granted, but recognize that you have work to do yourselves, okay? And you really got to focus on it, but believe that God gave you a very special gift and a talent that it's yours to share, and you have to decide how you use it, and you got to choose to do so. Oh, this is great. Well interrupted by our third buddy right there. Well done, Mr. Arrowwood. Casey's in the building. Sorry to be embarrassing. But back to our important point there is just again to acknowledge that, okay? And our hope is that for us as the adults, as the parents and guardians of these beautiful young spirits, is to make sure that we take the time and the energy to always be present, to listen, and to be supportive. But at the same time, to allow them to find their journey in life and just let them walk and take those steps, you know, because it's not ours to do, it's theirs. And I'm honestly looking forward to those of you that I know to seeing what it is that you get to accomplish in life, because we are two brothers from Chapel Hill, as we would like to say. We've got a third who just entered the building. We've got some exciting news. We're celebrating our wins right now. It took a long time to get here, but it's a true blessing, because if you believe in yourself and you've got the right support and you work hard enough for it, you can achieve anything. What is it you say to your kids? You can do what?
You can do anything you put your mind to.
You can do anything you put your mind to. And I've used that mantra too with my own kids, and it's amazing to watch what it is that they do. So for you young ones out there, we're telling you the exact same thing. You can do anything you put your mind to. So please don't forget that. All right? Cool. Casey.
Now, before Ali continues to talk, because he has the mic and it just attracts him to continue to
I have
speak.
the mic. You are forced to listen to everything I have to say.
It's hard to stop him when he's on a roll.
I'm sorry. Mic off.
So the initial thought was, why a book? Especially when books seem to be going obsolete, right? I mean, why a book is because, and it's cliche, reading is everything. Everything. If you can't read, you can't do math. If you can't read, you can't do science. You can't read, you can't open a box and put together anything that has instructions, right? And so reading is so important for us. And it's dear to my heart because this book is an ode to my mom, who took it upon herself to see myself as a struggling young Black boy who didn't want to read. Boys just don't like to read, right? You have gaming systems, you have all this other stuff. She saw that I didn't want to touch a book at all. She knew how troubling that would be for my growth and for my success. So she put me in art and reading clinic. And the confidence I was able to get from being able to read allowed me to raise my hand in school, participate in school, answer questions. And this is where the issue happens in school, is when kids don't feel comfortable, don't feel confident, they tend to act out or they tend to hide, right? And so the thought was that we'll do a picture book. So a picture book doesn't have many words, not too complicated, because again, we wanted something that didn't have many pages, because the first thing when I tell my kids to read, especially my boy, how many pages is that? Right? And just flips to the back and wants to know how many pages there are. And so the thought is that if we can get them confident in reading, right? And then they're reading stuff that pertains to them. Then they'll start raising their hands. Then they'll start excelling in school, right? And so this is the change that we're hoping to do, is by them learning to read a picture book. And although this is elementary, I think it could go into middle schools. I think it can go into high schools. It's not just an elementary book, but it allows you to gain confidence in reading. And if you can do that, then you can essentially do anything in life. And so that's kind of the drive behind why a book, why a picture book. And so big shout out. I know we haven't done that yet. Ken Daly.
Oh, we got something from him. No, go ahead. Yeah, shoot him out.
Ken, every time someone opens the book, their immediate response is, God, how beautiful this book is. Right? And I tell everyone, like, I mean, he used every color of the palette. Like, I mean, every color is in here. And that's what you want. You want something vibrant. You want something that kids will reach for. Because it's colorful. We all are appearance-based, right? And so this is the kind of draw that we want some kids to look at. And then when you open it up, it's something that they want to continue to read based upon what they look at and what they read. And so big shout out to Ken Daly for doing what he did. He really came to life. We couldn't have asked for a better illustrator. And we thank Sourcebooks for being able to find him. But
yeah, let me, if we can, that's a good segue for me to share with you guys what Ken sent in. Of course, unfortunately, he is not able to be here. He would love to, have been here in person. And also, if he could have sent a recorded message or on video, he would have done that. But I've got a quick note, and if you just bear with me here. Greetings, everyone. There's so much I want to say about this book, so I'll try to keep it brief. It's been an honor and a blessing to illustrate a book that will inspire Black boys everywhere to know that you can do amazing things. I'm deeply thankful for Ali and George for writing this poem for little Black boys to feel empowered by the accomplishments of important Black men who made history and a lasting impact in society and throughout the world. Thanks for entrusting me with your baby. Many thanks to Allison Sundstrom and the whole Sourcebooks team who helped steer me in the right direction for the art and making Black Boy look so dope. This is a special book for me, as I wish I had this book growing up as a Black Canadian boy in a predominantly white school space. It was hard looking for children's books where I can see myself in and be inspired by. And so I'm glad that Black Boy will inspire my young nephew by learning that there are many people that paved the way for us to be here. From all the sacrifices and struggles they went through, we have the opportunity to create our own paths and destinies. I hope everyone will enjoy Black Boy, and my sincere wish is that it will touch your hearts as it did mine. Enough love, thanks and blessings to Ali and George and to Malaprop's bookstore and everyone who supported this book. Ken. Thank you, Ken. We're gonna hope that we just put it out there, Ken, that we can get to collab again, right?
right.
So, definitely save a spot for us, brother. We hopefully can get you more material, but sincere thanks and blessings, man. You really brought our book to life. Anything else you want to touch on?
No, I did want to read a little bit from the book. Not everything, just a little.
We're gonna find out if he can read. Isaiah, pay attention and see if Daddy can read.
Dear boy, Black boy, rise up, it's time. It's a new day and a chance to shine. Shine like the sun, magnificent and bold. Forgot to turn it around. A new chapter begins, your story's untold. A story of courage that starts on this day. courage like these men who paved the way. Dear boy, black boy, what do you see? That's Colin Kaepernick taking a knee. Stand up, go ahead and dare to dream. Dream big, dear boy, like Martin Luther King. Realize your power, you're blessed with talents, like Elijah McCoy, inventing over 50 patents. Dear boy, black boy, what do you love? Stories of Emery Malik, flying high above. Let's keep it going. Tell me how you feel. Brave like William Goins, the first Black Navy SEAL. That's what you. Name me a song you really like to hum. I like Sam Cooke's A Change Is Gonna Come. I'll just keep reading all the way through. I'm already done. Dear boy, black boy, what do you read? Chinua Achebe's poems, inspirational indeed. Show me the style of your favorite dance. Just like Arthur Mitchell, look at my stance. Break boundaries, dear boy. Shape your own fate. President Barack Obama became the head of state. Dear boy, black boy, what do you see? I see many faces that look like me. Yes, it's true. And those faces you see, they are change makers of your history. With joy and love, this is written for you. Believe in yourself and all you can do. Dear boy, black boy, now it's your turn. Work hard, be proud of all that you earn. The future is now. It's your time to grow to inspire, and your bright light will show. Time for an adventure. May your journey begin. Take a deep breath and feel your power within. Dear boy, black boy, I believe in you so. Let's start your journey. Ready, set, go. Go. How'd I do, Ali? You did great, man. You can read.
So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, there you have it. That is our black boy, black boy. We, of course, can't finish this out before I guess we go into questions without just sending out some thanks. If that's okay, we'll just take a quick minute.
Oh, yeah, time for questions.
Okay, perfect. Because we want to make sure we do justice. You want to start with anything particular?
Well, first I wanted to let everyone know, just in case, there's back matter. I'm like, what is back matter, right? We didn't know what it was either, right? Until we got in the book and like, we need back matter. So this back matter allows us hopefully to be able to put this in classrooms. So it's now an educational tool, right? It talks about what each individual historical figure that we just mentioned, to allow them to go into a thoughtful discussion about what attributes, what accomplishments, and not only what they've done, but there is a list, right? I mean, we could go on with Colin Kaepernick, Jim Brown. I mean, you can continue to go on with Muhammad Ali, with athletes in general. I mean, you can go on with civil rights activists as well. We've only scraped the surface with the individuals we have in this book. And so we're hoping, right, that this generates conversations, not only in the classrooms, but outside of the classrooms, of who we can start talking about regarding what this country has done and how they got there. Inclusivity is what we want to bring with this book. And we are hopeful that this happens anywhere that any boy reads or any girl reads at that time as well.
Certainly a fun introduction to Black history, so well done.
Hey.
All right. Let's go ahead and first off, just say a big thank you to Sourcebooks. You know, when this all started, we were still pinching ourselves that this is a reality, you know. But our agent, and he's not gonna like me calling him a super agent, but he is our ambassador of Quan. He literally, Mr. Kevin O'Connor. Yes, big shout out to you if you're watching. Thanks, though. It's the best in the business. But he is more than just our agent. He is actually our friend. And he has guided us through this entire process. And we would not be here without him. Second of all, in there too is Eliza Swift, who used to be with Sourcebooks. And we want to mention her in particular because we feel as debut authors that she saw us when we had submitted this to publishers. She was the first, in fact, who reached out and had the right response to where we did not feel like this was going to be a commodity. We actually felt like she saw us as people and welcomed us into the Sourcebooks family and told us that she was going to make sure that this book actually got its due. And as you can see, she was definitely very right. So we want to say, Eliza, thank you so very much for seeing us, because she is one of the gatekeepers, you know. There are so many authors out there who are writing and cannot get their manuscripts, you know, through the doors. So here we are, and we're going to say that loud and proud. There was a one shot, and you know, we knocked on the door and it opened. We got a lot of no's, we'll say that, true. We did get a lot of no's. Yeah. But the fact that, you know, in this journey, we're talking, what, 2 years? To be in this position, from creation to publication, we couldn't be more blessed. So to the entire team at Sourcebooks, to the publishing queen herself, to Dominic Rocca, your publishing house is absolutely phenomenal. Everybody has treated us like family, and we look forward to creating more. I won't continue to say, I will let George say some stuff too, so I don't get in trouble.
Just thanks to everyone. No, I don't need it. I don't need it. But I really I mean, the journey was it was incredible. I mean, we talk about how quick it happened. It really did happen very quickly, but what we ran into was some no's, and the no's helped us get to where we got. And so the whole theme about this is don't be afraid of no's. The rejection gets you to where we got. We were joking about it before, what the manuscript looked like before we got the no's. It didn't look anything like what we had in this book. So we needed that. We needed those no's. We needed that sort of obstacle to be able to overcome, to be able to get something that we felt extremely proud of. And so for anyone watching, and for all of y'all here, obstacles come and go. And it's about striving beyond those and getting past those. And so we're thankful for them to allow us to be able to put forth the product that we have here today.
And most importantly, let's close it out with family. So I'll start with mine, to my lovely wife, Julia, to my 2 kids. You most certainly are what nurtures my spirit. And I definitely would not be the man I am today without you, Jay. And I totally appreciate everything you do for me and for the support, but also for the blessing of these 2 amazing kids. And I'm definitely excited about life's journey with you. So I want to say thank you for that. I want to thank my mom, who is not here, because, you know, she gave me life. And she has always been there unconditionally and full of support. She's currently in Sierra Leone. I hope you're watching in Sierra Leone, Mom. I know it's late. It's 4 hours, you know, ahead. So definitely, if you didn't stay up, you're in trouble. Mm-hmm. And to my dad, who is not here with me, he got me started on this journey. And I can't say that he lost his battle. He just has moved on. He's transitioned. He's gone home. And I do want to just say, Pops, you begin on doing, yeah? I don't talk fish, bro. I don't do it. And to my grandparents, to Hope and Les Law, who had a relationship with my parents way back when in Sierra Leone. I would not be in the US if it hadn't been for them. But more importantly, I wouldn't again be the man I am today if it hadn't been through their guidance and their love and their full support. So just want to tell you guys I love you and thank you so much. To my sister, who is my hero, you've always paved the road, and you've always allowed me to dream big too, to make me know that I can do what I want to do. Your example is always going to be a beacon to me. So you keep blazing those trails, and I love you. And I'll pass it on to you before I start crying.
Big shout out to my wife. My 3 kids, my eldest Opal, my middle child Stella, and my boy Isaiah. They are everything. It was funny when we wrote this book and it started taking shape. Immediately my girls were like, what about us?
Yeah,
we know that was. So luckily there is a Black Girl book coming out in 2 years' time. But we couldn't do this without family. And the relationship that we have, we always call it brothers from another mother. It's just one of those things that allows you to nurture this sort of area where we can grow and inspire. And so super thankful for Ali, super thankful for my wife, my kids. Again, this means so much to me. My mom's not here, and this book was, I remember going through the PDS with her, and she knew she was battling cancer 10 years, and it was one of those things where she knew she would be here for this, but she was the driving force behind this. And so it's important for me to recognize her, but also to recognize my dad as well. Huge part of my life. He came in and came out. He showed me a lot what to do and a lot what not to do. But he shaped me to be able to write this book and be able to be an active father in my kids' life so that I can be able to have something for them when I'm no longer here. And so I'm super thankful for my parents for being able to provide that love and support. And I wish they were here. But I'm so grateful not only for them, but for all of y'all. Thank y'all for being here.
Before we do take questions, we have one brother from another mother who's in the building, and I just really want to say, man, congratulations.
What's going on, Casey?
I know you don't want to share it because you're very humble, but man, we are super proud of you, bro. So Lincoln bedroom, here we come. He was appointed by President Biden, so we are. Can we share that? Yeah, it's too late now. Cat's already out that bag. But anyway, we're just excited. So again, we're celebrating a lot of wins, and this is very emotional for us. So, but again, thanks Malaprop for this opportunity, and I guess we will be taking questions. Big E's in the building too.
That's right.
What? What's up, sir? Yes.
So we have a few minutes for questions, and you can just raise your hand.
Actually, more than a question, I just met you guys last night. That book is the best calling card I've ever seen. Just a couple.
Mm.
You walk around with it. I already know a few places you can get into schools and start talking through it. But that right there, just carry it with you everywhere you go, and you're going to have plenty to do.
Thank you.
I love it. Thank you very much.
We got one back here.
Me, George, congratulations.
Thanks, Chris.
This is a declaration, but it is a question, and maybe you don't have to answer it, I just want us all to hear it. How do we get this in every school, every community center? And
I'm gonna let the son of Asheville answer that one. Since you've been here. But what I would say is, like Chris, I just met you, but you've got this genuine spirit. I want to just tell you I appreciate you, and I'm looking forward to finding ways to keep this communication going and what is possible. Because the truth is that we really do want this to get into the hands of just about every kid we can, okay? In particular, we want to make sure we can get it into certain communities who are not, we would say, able to afford the price point, all right? And so for us, we are willing and we are open to finding, avenues and how we do that. But I believe that comes through relationships and, talking about it and finding the right people, because in society, there are always these connectors. And so, we just believe that we're going to do our part and God will do the rest, because the right person will be out there. We'll likely be able to get that, but definitely that's the drive. So yeah, Son of Nashville, you want to answer that? That's this is your town. I want to get it.
Well, I mean, besides reaching out to teachers, curriculum specialists, which I've already done, we're open to going into the schools. And that's where we hope that they can get the book and then read the book and have these discussions. But there's also another environment at home that we want kids to have these books as well. We are super excited to hopefully be able to team up with nonprofits to be able to get these in the types of communities that don't have the ability. As immediately we were thinking about when we saw the book, we're like, oh God, that's an expensive book. We're like, who's going to pay for that, right? And that's the kind of thought process that I think we had in our own past, right? I mean, I couldn't imagine going into a bookstore back in the day and looking at a book that I'd love and then seeing a price point, and then my mom being like, no, we don't want that to be a hurdle. How we'll get to that is we'll continue to garner the relationships, continue to reach out to whoever we need to reach out to make sure that we get it not only in the school systems, but also in the hands of not only Black boys, but all boys.
So yeah, for those of you out there, if you're listening, George and I, he's busy. We'll travel. We'll go anywhere to make sure that this happens. So if you can make it happen, definitely get us connected, because Sourcebooks is really behind us and they're very supportive, and we'll definitely make sure it gets done. Thanks for that question, Chris. All right, I see one right there. That's my son right there. All right. You got a quick one more. All right, well, we got one. I can give you, why don't you tell me, it's been read, right? 3 names of individuals who are in this book. I'll make it very easy for you. Let's see what you got. Did I say 3? Well done, sir. Yes, ma'am. Ooh, that's a good one. See that gallery over there? Well, I think it draws it full circle. You want to share this one? Because for me, again, I keep bringing him up because he's my old friend from college, Casey. We both played soccer in high school at Avery County, North Carolina, and we are a very small 2A school. And this young man right here was a dominant force. That's why I keep saying son of Asheville. He was dominant force out here, I guess he was highly recruited and all this. So we had heard about him when we were in college, and we wanted to figure out who was this Jorge, Who was this Jorge? Because of course we want to just make sure we size them up. So we showed up to the dorm, looking for this guy, knocked on the door, and here he is just after practice. I mean, just ripped, chiseled up. So we definitely hated on him for that one. I know I did. I was like, oh man, I don't like this guy, But I didn't know it was him. We're looking for this Hispanic guy, But there's this Black dude. I was like, who's gonna be, Mexican? But he's not. I was like, oh, all right. I don't know why they named him Jorge. But it stemmed from there. And the 3 of us just really gelled on campus. And next thing you know, we just formed a bond, and it's been a brotherhood ever since. And we are definitely gonna carry that till our last breath, So you want to add to that one? Go Heels. Go Heels. Right. Yeah, it was a Tar Heel connection. It was a Chapel Hill.
We don't have any questions from the Apple audience, so we can take one more from the in-store audience before we leave, if y'all are okay with that. And then afterwards, we will have George and Ali sitting at the table right back there to sign your books and for your prints. And we'll transition to that. So time for one more question. Oh, I think you were.
No,
Y'all have to do it out.
no, I'll let my other go.
Okay, perfect, yes.
Respect, young man. I like that.
What in your life would inspire you? I think you answered it in the beginning, what inspired you about life, about George Floyd. But any background in your history, your life inspired you to really need to do something with our young black men?
Yeah, for me, it was my father's drive to learn my history of my own family. And so initially the thought was I didn't really even think about Black history until I got to college. And I was like, this needs to change. This needs to change early on. And so the thought that drove behind was that it shouldn't take going through 12 years of school to then all of a sudden be woke, right? I mean, you should be woke as soon as you are able to read. And what are you reading? And so my dad's drive to learn about the history of my family, and then my drive to want to learn about the history of African Americans and Africans. And so that was one of the things that I think Ali perhaps didn't mention with all of his long-winded talking, is that we wanted to make sure that we didn't just include African Americans, right? I mean, he was extremely, extremely important about wanting to make sure that we included Africans as well. And so
Black history is world history, huh?
correct. And so that was the whole thought. Looking at my kids and seeing the type of curriculum that they see regarding history, and seeing that it's not all truthful history, is something that we felt like we should be there to enlighten. And as much as they're being enlightened throughout this whole project, us learning who these individuals were was as much joy as it was for my kids to understand the historical context these individuals were. So for me, it was more of a drive from my father, and more of my drive of wanting my kids to know all history, not just the history that is being taught right now in schools.
My short answer is it was my son. It's literally about creating something for him that it was like a love letter. And so in recognizing that I was able to put something out there that he would read and that one day could be in his bookshelf, I think really sort of got me thinking of like, well, ultimately there are going to be others as well, who can actually benefit from this. So it really stemmed from his spirit and the love I have for my kid.
I love my son too.
Yeah. You gotta answer more.